Hi, I'm Greg Swanson, and I'm going to go over kind of a framework for my coaching program, specifically for well-being. But the beginning part is a encompassing umbrella of mental strength, which I utilize whether it's well-being, sales, performance, anything. So mental strength is comprised of four C's, and this has been a scientific research phenomenon or personality trait. And the four C's, and I'll go through those real quick here, are control, challenge, commitment, and confidence. So when we talk about control, we talk about, do we feel we have control in our life, and do we have emotional control? The more that we can emphasize control in our life and control in our emotions, the mentally stronger we're going to be. And this results in being able to handle unplanned events that come in our life, things that don't go our way. And that relates directly to emotional control. But when I work with clients on control, a lot of clients, people feel that they don't have that much control, hence stress, hence burnout, hence lack of well being. Because if a person feels they don't have control over their life, how can they feel good about it? So when we talk about control, we talk about we can control your thoughts, we can control your time, we can control what you eat, we can control when you exercise, what you do, all those things. And I know this is, like I said, this is a high level that I take, is allowing clients to understand they have more control than they think they might have. Then we move on to challenge. And challenge is stepping out of your comfort zone regularly, at least once a week. Do the hard things. And then, regardless of the result, did you get a learning from it? So, challenge usually involves something that we haven't done because it's challenging. And we're often afraid to step out of the comfort zone because what if it doesn't work? What if it doesn't happen? What if it doesn't? What if? So, what I work with clients in that particular case is don't focus on the result, focus on the process, meaning stepping out of your comfort zone. Then review the result to see what you've learned from the process and the result itself. And when they understand that this continuing stepping out of their comfort zone will help them grow and develop that life that they want more, then they'll step out of that comfort zone a little bit more. The third C is commitment, and this is setting goals and seeing them through to the end. And this one can be pretty tough at times because, we all like to set goals, but then something comes up. Well, I wanted to clean out the garage, but I had a baseball game. I wanted to, go to the gym today, but I had to wash the dishes. So, when we set these goals, and there's obviously varying degrees of this, but when we set goals and keep them, one, we start to build confidence, which is the next C, confidence in ourselves. But then we understand that how important a commitment is. And this commitment can even be extrapolated far beyond setting goals. But when you say you're going to do something, you do it. When you say you're going to meet somebody at a certain time, you meet them. When you say you're going to get up at 4 o'clock to go to the gym, you do it. All those can be set as goals or mini goals, but the commitment part is absolutely essential. All four of these C's are essential. So then we move on to confidence. And this is a person's confidence in their skills and ability. Some people may be really, really good at what they do, but they don't have the confidence. They have the, imposter syndrome or some other things that are going on there. Because there are people who have really great skills, but they don't trust themselves. So we have to develop that confidence in that, and there's ways I do that. And then along with that confidence is their interpersonal communications. If they give a perspective, if they give a point of view, do they have the confidence to stand up and articulate exactly why they had that perspective and not back down at the slightest challenge? That helps with the confidence and not to be getting into an argument, but to stand up there. Here you go, I think we should do it this way, and this is why. And somebody says, I don't agree. And then you go, okay, fine, I don't agree either. Right? We don't want that. We want that challenge to be in there. So, to recap, the mental strength umbrella that I use as the framework for my coaching is control. Again, control what you can and let go of the rest. Challenge, do the hard things. commit, keeping your word, and confidence is believing in yourself. And so once we get through that, then I'm going to address kind of how I work with them in a well-being perspective. Again, using control. When people look at their day, they feel like it's my day is out of control, which means 24 hours a day, 60 seconds in every minute, 60 minutes in every hour, all of it is out of control. So what I help them do is develop this ideal day framework. So there's an AM, a PM, a sleep, and a work. So there's four components. And I quickly point out to the clients that three of those components are completely in their control: AM, PM, and sleep. So they actually have control over 3/4 of their day. Now, in my perspective, I feel it's very, very important to start the day with something physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. That could be a physical movement, a walk, a yoga position; mental, reading or listening something positive; an emotional, gratitude for the day; and spiritual could be prayer or meditation. So that's the AM. And the AM is to focus, energize, and create a positive mindset for the person going forward. Notice how I didn't include TV, scrolling on your phone, checking emails, or checking text. All of those are eliminated in the ideal day. And then I'm going to leave work to last. So then I'm going to jump to the PM. So the PM is to pre-plan for the next day, review and acknowledge what took place during that day, and just basically unplug, which means, again, reduce the cell phone usage, reduce some blue screens and stuff. But the pre-plan is, if you're going to work out, put your clothes there. If you're going to have lunch, what are you going to have for lunch? So pre-plan the next day so you wake up and don't have to wonder, oh, what did I do here? And you get caught up and sidetracked. You can focus on the AM routine, which I just went over. And then also, I encourage my clients to develop 3 objectives for the next day, preferably at work. And those objectives are proactive pieces of action that when they get done, the day will be fantastic. Because often clients will go into the office, start checking emails, and then by 3 o'clock, they don't have anything done. And so I encourage them to put down 3 things that they want to get done. Now we'll move on to sleep. So this is the third part of their ideal day. And that sleep means that turn off blue lights an hour ahead of time. That means phones, TVs, laptops, and reflect on the day if you haven't done so already in the PM, but then reflect and journal about that. Make sure the sleeping environment is dark and quiet, no noise, no phone, and really approach sleep as it's a integral function to peak performance. Not it's something I have to do. It's something you get to do. And so now that brings us to the work component. And the work component is all about being effective and efficient. Effective is doing the right things. Efficient is doing those things right. And I have my clients, as best they can, start off with deep work and proactive work. So after they've gone through their AM routine, they've got the physical movement, they've developed the mental positive attitude, they've showed some gratitude, they've had the prayer meditation for the spiritual, whether it's at home or if the home office or go to work, they sit down and they do proactive work first, deep work. They do not check their emails, they do not check their phones, they don't check anything. They come down and do those proactive. Then you could be managed by objectives or indicators or whatever that might be, but do that. Set at least an hour aside to do that deep proactive work. Then slide into the reactive work because it's always be there. Reactive work will always be there, but it tends to interfere with proactive work. And this is why people end up spending 10, 12 hours at work, because they spent 8 hours of it on reactive stuff and they didn't leave time for proactive. The reactive stuff usually has a buffer of about 24 hours, but your proactive work is part of your job assignment. It's part of what you're there to do. It's part of your strategic indicators. So we want to get that done. And in there, in that proactive work, deep work, I encourage them to experiment with the Pomodoro method. That is high intensity for 20 minutes, take a 10-minute break, back to 20 minutes, and take a 10-minute break. If that seems too short of an intense focus time, I'll have them expand it to 35, 45 minutes, but no more than 50 minutes and a 10-minute break. And that break is you get up and walk around from your desk and get back. So again, you get some physical movement. So to recap, again, I start off with this mental strength umbrella of control, challenge, commitment, and confidence. And I utilize that into a ideal day quadrant: AM, PM, sleep, and work. And each one of those four C's plays a critical role in the AM, the PM, the sleep, and the work. So I bring those together. And once a client starts to fill these in, and again, it's not about doing a lot, it's what's the minimum that you can do physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. What's the minimum? Once my clients start to get that in place, it's easier to expand 1 minute to 5 to 10 to 15, as opposed to chunking out, 20 minutes. A lot of clients will say, I don't have time to work out. I go, do you have 1 minute to do a yoga move? Well, yeah, let's start with that. And so once I get them to be in the habit and understand that they have control over 3/4 of the day, they start feeling better. They start including better health habits, better nutrition, and better health all the way around. So that's basically how I start. And if you have any questions, please let me know.